Welcome back, Pokemon trainers. Professor Chaz here. The lab coat's on back order, and welcome to another one of my team building videos here on the channel. Now, what I'm going to start doing this week, since we did come to a conclusion of the Pokemon X double battles last week, using the last of my newcomers from previous generations, I'm going to be having 2 battle videos every week on the channel. I'm going to be focusing on double battles in Omega Ruby and single battles in Pokemon X, trying to get some of the Pokemon that were defeated previously in the X double battles, see if I can get them some victories in the singles, because I might fare a little better based on typing and such. So I was deciding I don't want to have 2 team builder videos a week, because that might get a little stale and boring, and maybe the team builders are already boring as it is right now. I really don't know, but I think it's actually a good thing that I do these, because it's helping me learn more that I might not have considered when it comes to online battling. Like trying to think of hidden power for Zapdos from last week with fighting type really helped us out in a lot of the matches. I only used it once, if I recall, but the thought helped us out in a lot of battles. So I am going to focus on just doing a team builder for one of these games, and I might switch it up a bit from week to week if you're interested in that, but at least for this week I'm going to do a team builder today of the Pokemon Omega Ruby double battles, since it is our first double battle we're going to have on the channel. Now, what I know about the current season in the Wi-Fi battles is November 16th is when Season 12 ends, which we're currently in. And for Season 12, they are permitting Pokemon from older games that were Poke-transported up to be used in the raiding battles in Omega Ruby. That might change when Season 13 starts on the 16th. So if that does happen, I'm going to need to think of something else to do for my Omega Ruby battles, because I can't take the older ones into the ratings. I might just do free battles, but then I run the risk of legendaries, and I do finally remember my Machamp one-shotting Mega Rayquaza with an Ice Punch, so there's not going to be a chance that I'm going to lose every single match. But when you do go up against a team of legendary Pokemon and you don't use legendaries yourself, there is a chance you're not going to win those ones. So hopefully they're going to continue the Poke-transported Pokemon into Season 13. If not, I might want to start setting up some friend battles with some viewers out there. So we're going to see how things go. That being said, we are going to do a Pokemon Omega Ruby double battle team builder today, focusing on some previous victorious Pokemon from the Pokemon X League. So let's see what I've done with them this week. Probably not going to be too many changes, but we're going to get into it and see what changes, if any, have been made to the 6 Pokemon I'm bringing this week. Let's check them out. So let's take a look at the team we're bringing in this week. We're going to start with the oldest Pokemon that we haven't seen for quite some time, and starting off is Gary the Gyarados. He has the Naive nature, which is a speed-boosting nature at the cost of special defense, and he has the Intimidate ability. And this time around, he's actually holding the Gyaradosite. Now, I actually haven't used a Mega Gyarados yet in the Wi-Fi battles, despite the fact that I have 2 Gyarados, Gary and Dive Bomb. And this week, actually, previously Gary was holding the Focus Sash in case he got hit by an Electric-type move. But we have another Pokemon that's holding the Focus Sash this week, and they needed a little bit more. So I figured Gyaradosite would be good, because if we do fear an Electric move, we can always Mega Evolve. Suddenly we're not double weak to Electric, we're just regular weak. So hopefully that's going to pull us through in case we do face off against an Electric type. For Super Training, we went with the Attack and Speed. So this is the same as it was originally back in the X League. He does have max IVs and Special Defense, but his nature does lower that. And I decided I'm just going to not even put any Super Training into that. He still has over 200 at level 100 with his Special Defense. And I got his Speed to 254, and Attack is a powerful 346, which is going to be improved by one of his attacks. You'll see he does have Dragon Dance. Now, for his Mega Evolution, of course, the ability does change to Mold Breaker, and we see the speed remains the same. Attack goes up to 406, so 60 whole points higher, and a few of his other stats do gain some boost as well. Special Defense actually goes up by 50 points, and Defense goes up by 60 points as well. Special Attack goes up by 20, but we don't have any special moves, so we're not going to really care about that. Moveset is the same as it was before. We got Waterfall, Earthquake, Ice Fang, all physical moves, and they all have some pretty decent power behind them. Dragon Dance is going to boost his speed and attack, making him hit all the more hard against the opponent. Now, the next Pokemon we're bringing from from the Pokemon X League, I should say, is good old Machamp. He has the Adamant nature, which is one of the best natures you can get for a physical attacking Pokemon. It raises attack, lowers special attack. You're not going to be sending any special attacks from Machamp, unless maybe they get Vacuum Wave for priority, but I don't even think they get that. Maybe they do. Either way, he has the Guts ability, which will boost his attack stat even higher if he has a status condition. And his favorite item of choice is the Muscle Band, which is going to increase all of his physical attacks by 10% in power. So Super Training went with the attack stat, getting up to 367, maxed out, highest we could get it. And I evened up the defenses at around 211, 212 each. He does have max IVs for speed, but speed's not kind of the thing we're going to go with for a Machamp, so we didn't even worry about that. Now, the moveset. He has actually changed a little bit since his appearance in the Pokémon X League. Here in Omega Ruby, we've actually swapped out his Brick Break for Power Up Punch. Now, it's not the most powerful move, it's 40 power, but every time he lands that hit against somebody, his attack stat will raise one stage. It's going to make all of his other physical attacks pretty powerful. Now, he still has Ice Punch, but this time I decided to replace Payback with Knockoff. This is a move that they can learn naturally, and since you're going to be facing opponents that almost always are going to have items on their Pokemon, you're going to want to try to knock those items off so they can't gain the benefit. And he still has the Wide Guard, which originally back in Pokemon X I swapped out his Foresight attack for Wide Guard, and in double battle it's going to be really useful to protect both of my Pokemon if the opponent goes for something like an Earthquake or Discharge or Hyper Voice, anything along those lines. Next Pokemon for this first premiere week of the Pokemon Omega Ruby battle is Caliburn, the Aegislash. He is a brave Pokemon, which boosts his attack stat and lowers speed. So again, one of the better abilities, or better natures, that my Pokemon can have. And like all Aegislash, the ability Stance Change will change his form based on what attacks he's using. And previously in the X League, he was holding Shell Bell, which would heal back some HP based on how much damage he did to the opponent. But this time we're giving him Leftovers. I think the reason I gave him Shell Bell before because he was on a team with someone else that had Leftovers, and you can't double up the items. But this week, I think Leftovers will work better with his Reflect and King Shield attacks. So the Super Training is the same. Attack is maxed out at 204, and this is the Shield form. You'll see the attack form in a second. The defenses are about 360 each, and like I said, the nature is going to boost his attack and lower the speed. However, when I was looking at the team this week, I noticed we actually will only have one special attacker, and everyone else is going to be physical or more defensive. I was considering turning Caliburn into a special attacker for this week. However, unfortunately, from what I've seen, they don't really learn any special attacks other than, I think, egg moves. Because I know I've seen an Aegislash in the World Championships use Flash Cannon, but I can't seem to get Flash Cannon on this particular Pokemon. So I'm thinking it must be an egg move. That being the case, I'm going to have to keep him as a physical attacker and hope that we don't have to come up against an opponent, like, a whole team of opponents that are physically defensive, because we're only going to have one special attacker. So we see in Blade form, the attack stat goes to a whopping 424, and the defenses go down to about 160 apiece, and that's actually still not too bad. That's still quite defensive. Moveset is the same as it was. We got the Shadow Sneak for priority. Sacred Sword is going to ignore the defense and evasive stat changes of the opponent when it deals damage, and Reflect is good for protecting my team. King Shield is good for protecting Caliburn. So the fourth Pokemon this week is Squeak. Now, I'm hoping he's going to be able to pull off his strategy in the Omega Ruby League as well as he did back in Pokemon X, the second time we pulled it off, or second time we tried to pull it off, I should say. He has the Relaxed Nature, which does boost defense and lower speed. So this is one of the Pokemon that probably could have had a better nature if I was lucky enough to catch one with that, different nature. But this is what Squeak has. It's what he's had ever since he was first captured back in Kanto, and it's what we're going to go with. The ability Guts, like Machamp, is going to boost his attack stat if he has a special condition. And the item is Focus Sash. Now, this is why Gary doesn't have the Focus Sash this week, when I decided to go with a Mega Gyarados. So, as you saw probably in a previous battle, if Squeak can get hit by a physical move, the Focus Sash will keep him from fainting. And you'll see he has the counter attack, which will actually deal back double damage. And, well, I'll explain the rest of his moveset in a moment. Speed is maxed out at 243, despite the lowering of the nature. And I got HP up to 289, and I got the attack stat just above the 200 mark, because he does have one physical move that we're going to want to make use of. Well, two, actually, I should say. So, you'll see the moveset. Counter is going to be one of his main attacks. If we expect a physical attack, we're going to go for counter. Survive with Focus Sash, deal back double damage. Now, on the next turn, if Squeak does get hit by a status condition, his Guts will boost the attack stat, and Facade is going to boost in power as well. So we're going to be able to deal some pretty impressive damage, especially since we get the attack stat at 201. And if we do counter, bring the opponent down, we want to be able to make sure Squeak can get a hit off before he gets knocked out on the next turn. Sucker Punch is going to be a good way to go. We can actually get priority if the opponent tries to hit Squeak, we can at least do some damage before he goes down. However, if we don't think the opponent will go for a speed priority move, if Squeak will outspeed, we do have Endeavor. Once the Focus Sash activates and brings him to 1 HP, Endeavor is going to take his next target down to 1 HP as well. And if we are lucky, if he can survive that turn, then Sucker Punch should finish off that Pokemon that he took down to 1 HP quite nicely, possibly getting 2 knockouts. We'll see how it goes. He almost got 2 knockouts the last time I used him in the X League. So now the fifth Pokemon this week, Scruff the Manectric. She has the Relaxed Nature, which boosts defense and drains speed. Again, I think Squeak just had that too. So it's not the best that we could have had. However, it is not too, we'll work with it. So Lightning Rod is the ability. Any electric moves that come after the team, if they're direct, like a single target, are going to be drained into Scruff. And instead of causing damage, she's actually going to draw some special attack stat boost from that. And she is holding the Manectric. So this week is the first time we're bringing 2 potential Megas into each battle. I can't, of course, use 2 Megas in one fight, so if I do choose to bring Gary into a battle, I'll probably have to choose to keep Scruff aside, or vice versa. If I think Scruff is the one to go with, I'm going to keep Gary off to the side. I might actually bring both into a certain battle, but I have to keep in mind that's going to mean one of my items is essentially useless. But we'll see how it goes. We don't know what we're going to encounter in these battles just yet. So Super Training has maxed out the speed at 272, special attack at 307, and we put the remainder into the special defense because once Scruff does become Mega Manectric, you'll see here, she gets the Intimidate ability, which is actually going to lower the opponent's attack stat, and she does gain a good boost to the defense, 50-some points, almost 50 points in defense. Special attack goes up by 60 points, and speed also boosts by about 50 or so. So she's going to be pretty fast, going to be hitting pretty hard with her special moves, which you'll see here. We were going to go with Discharge because we do have Marowak with us, and his Lightning Rod is going to drain away our Thunderbolt. So when I do go with Thunderbolt, I have to make sure I pull Marowak off the field so that he's not going to take our own attack away from our target. So Thunderbolt is the way to go. So I was considering Discharge, but I kind of don't want to dilute the attack by hitting 2 opponents, and Discharge is weaker than Thunderbolt is generally, so it's going to be even weaker if it's hitting multiple targets. So we went Thunderbolt, we kept the Signal Beam. I was considering possibly maybe Overheat or Flamethrower, but Signal Beam has kind of been decent in the past. I'm going to keep it on here for the time being. She does have Charge as well, and it's going to work well with the Mega Evolution, so when she Mega Evolves and intimidates the opponent's attack stat lower, she can Charge, which is going to increase her special defense. So she's going to be well defended on both sides. It's also going to power up her Thunderbolt on the following turn. And if we have any ground attacks like Earthquake or something to fear, she does have Magnet Rise. She's going to be able to become immune from from ground attacks for I think it's 5 turns. So our final Pokemon, as I have just alluded to moments ago, we've seen him pretty recently in the X League. He is back for Omega Ruby for the Premier Week. Good old Marowak, the serious Marowak. So no stats are gained or dropped by that. And he also has a Lightning Rod as well, so if we have, say, Gary on the field and we think that the opponent might go for an electric move, we could swap Marowak in to just take that hit and be completely immune to it, protecting our Gyarados or anyone else from an electric attack. And I don't think you're ever going to see Marowak with an item other than that thick club. It is so useful, it doubles the attack stat of a Cubone or a Marowak. And you'll see with the Super Training at 255 for attack, we're going to boost that to 510 with that thick club. And the defenses I went with maxed out the special defense as high as I could get it. Or I think I could have put a little bit more into it, but I put in a decent amount to 220. Physical defense is at 250, so he's pretty well defended. He's not the biggest wall that you could possibly have, but on this current team this week, he is about as big of a wall as we're going to go with. His attacks are the same as they were. I was considering doing a little bit of a change up, but I kept them as they are. Boomerang is good for stab power. Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, and Brick Break are good for coverage as well. I was going to teach him something like maybe Rock Tomb or Smackdown and replace the Thunder Punch, but I figured, no, I'm actually going to keep it as it is because Thunder Punch is a little bit stronger than both of those moves, and it provides a little bit more coverage, I believe. And I was going to probably teach him Power Up Punch as well, but I thought, no, I want to keep Brick Break on one of my Pokemon this week, because if the opponent sets up a Light Screen or a Reflect, I want to be able to get rid of that, and Marowak is going to be the one to do that. So that is going to be the team for this week. This is a pretty short and to-the-point team building video. But these are Pokemon we've already seen before in the X League. Hopefully they're going to be able to continue their winning streak from previous weeks that they took part in battles, and continue that into the Omega Ruby battles starting this week. There's no telling what we're going to come up against, though. There are new Mega Pokemon and a few new attacks that we might have to watch out for in the Omega Ruby League. I'm getting all tongue-tied. So, let's hope these guys are up to the challenge and taking on these new opponents that we're going to be facing starting tomorrow in Omega Ruby. Now, if you have any comments to leave about my Pokemon and possibly some movesets or, different movesets that might work for some Pokemon that you've seen, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'm curious to hear your feedback. And it's going to be too late, of course. Like, I'm recording the battles shortly after I actually do the team building video. But if these Pokemon don't manage to pull through, I would welcome some feedback on how to make them a little bit better. Alright, so thank you for checking out this team building video, and I hope you'll come back to the channel tomorrow, rooting on the team, and hopefully joining us as we get them into some victories in the Omega Ruby League. Alright, thank you once again for checking this video out, and I will catch you next time.